Welcome back to Cheddar News, everyone. As this pandemic wears on and the Delta variant risks linger, companies large and small are still seeing issues with their supply chains and labor shortages. Both of these issues have led to the added threat of inflation. Joining me now is Terry Hutchinson, a 7-Eleven multiple store franchisee and vice mayor of Naples, Florida. Terry, it's great to have you on the show this afternoon. What sort of supply chain issues are you currently seeing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. 7-Eleven franchisees are having numerous supply chain issues. Most people don't realize we carry north of 3,000 different individual items in our stores. And right now we're seeing hundreds of items that we simply can't get through our traditional normal supply chain.
Really? Now let me ask you this, Terry. Hundreds of items, you said, out of thousands of items. What are the items that are witnessing the biggest issues with their supply chains?
Great question. So that's the key, and that's where it really hits small business owners. We're seeing significant supply issues on items such as Coca-Cola, Gatorade, Pure Leaf tea, Starbucks products, Red Bull and Monster. So those are some heavy hitters in our store assortment. And without those, of course, our guests and our customers, they want us to have those in stock. And without those, we're in a difficult position.
So what is the position? Have you been forced to raise prices on those essentials, like a can of Coca-Cola and a can of a tea or a bottle of tea? And how has that impacted demand?
No, so we're resisting the temptation to raise the prices on these products. But what you're going to see out of 7-Eleven franchisees are the same kind of actions I've had to take myself. If I can't get it from our suppliers, then I'll go find that product and stock it in my stores. So I'm seeing this on social media across our franchise community, and that's the entrepreneurial spirit that resides in this group. So we're finding the products wherever we can. There are temporary times where we can't get access through our normal suppliers that have relationships with 7-Eleven, but we're doing everything we can to find those products and get them in the store. And sometimes that means going to places like Sam's and Costco and taking advantage of their buying power as well.
Do you sell gas at the stores that you oversee?
You know, I have 5 stores, and 2 of them have gasoline. So yes.
And my question to you is, how have those prices fluctuated?
Well, gasoline's a different animal entirely, and that is something that 7-Eleven franchisees typically don't manage themselves. They don't set the price. So it's gasoline is there's numerous. When I say numerous, I'm telling you there's probably 50 different variables that impact the price of gasoline. So, but that's really not an issue. We are seeing some supply issues with gasoline, but our company, 7-Eleven, has been fairly good about addressing those and getting our tanker trucks on our locations and getting supply in the ground.
The Delta variant, we know, causing major concern here across this country. Florida, one of the states that was mostly open during the pandemic, but the Delta variant certainly taking its toll, especially on Florida with a surge in COVID cases there. How is that impacting your stores, Terry?
You know, the Florida is a little bit unique. When you talk about business in Florida, right now the rest of the country is going through the 100 days of summer. For the retail convenience business, that's the peak operating time for our business. Florida's an inverted chart as compared to the rest of the country. When the rest of the country is busy, Florida is much slower. And then when the rest of the country slows down, Florida gets much busier with a group that we call snowbirds that visit us. But the Delta variant, when you start talking about the Delta variant, we're starting to see some cases rise here in Florida. But I would tell you that, and I noticed that as these cases rise, I kind of link it back to the July 4th time period when most families and communities gathered together And so we may be seeing some fallout from that, but
Terry.
Florida's back to business.
And I know it's been back to business for a while. These labor shortages, something we know impacting pretty much every industry across the board. It's why we see this economy and this recovery be lumpy at times between high inflation, supply chain issues, which are leading to higher inflation. Your stores may be the outlier there because you're not passing on those higher prices to customers. But is the labor shortage impacting you? Have you had a hard time bringing people back into the stores?
So when you start talking about labor shortage, I'll tell you right now that labor shortages are impacting not only our suppliers and are part of the problem, part of the root cause of the problem of our supply issues, but for individual store operators, we're seeing significant problems in attracting the right talent. And most people would think, well, you're not paying them very much. Offer them more and you'll get them in. And I can tell you that many of our franchisees have increased their starting pay to $12 or more an hour, offering overtime, paying them weekly, and many other incentives to get them on board. But recently, I just looked at my numbers for one store that I visited right before I came on here. 23 applicants in just the last couple months. I have one person that's actually on the store team out of those 23 applicants.
Wow.
So we have some issues.
All right, Terry, well, we're wishing you the best. I used to spend a good amount of time in Naples when my grandmother lived down there. Not anymore, but I have a spot in it near and dear to my heart. Wishing you the best. That's Terry Hutchinson. He's a 7-Eleven multiple store franchisee and vice mayor of Naples, Florida.